Right, we've now seen a couple of pre-season games from Chelsea Football Club under the management of Enzo Maresca, and we have somewhat of an idea of the system and the tactics that he is going to use going forward. And to say there are wholesale changes may even be a bit of an understatement here. So what we are going to do in today's episode is we are going to look at the entire Chelsea squad and try to answer the question, will they thrive or dive under Enzo Maresca? But people, before we get into all that, welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. If you are new around here, at the end of the video, if you like the content and you want to see more from myself, please hit the subscribe button. We are trying to reach 100,000 subscribers before the start of the season, and we're getting really, really close. So one big push could do it, and you, my friend, could be the difference maker. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. And to make it even better, in this video, I've got the big dog for you. Josh Aveste is here. The link to his channel is in the description, so make sure you are subscribed. Also, Josh, thrive or dive? You looking forward to this one?
Yes, I am, because I've been looking at Raheem Sterling and I found that he's been doing a lot of diving recently.
I don't think he's going to dive in this system. I think Raheem Sterling may well thrive, but we'll speak about that. Before we do it, I'm just going to mention that a few players I am going to leave out for various reasons. Some of them are heavily linked with loan moves away. Some of them just aren't going to be at the club, and some of them just aren't going to play, like Bergstrom, Bettinelli, some of those guys. So, as I just said there, Bergstrom, Bettinelli, Slanina, Gilchrist, I'm going to leave out because obviously Alfie Gilchrist is going to be going out on loan. We've heard that now. May actually be going to Como to play under
That would be
Cesc
wonderful.
Fabregas.
I love that.
So
what a
there
team,
you go.
Alongside Rafa Varane.
There you go. There you go. Oh, who's better out of them two? Not too sure. Not too sure. Andre Santos, Casadei, Kellerman, Moreira, Lukaku, who's actually back at Cobham now, and David Washington. So let's get in to the first team squad. Robert Sanchez, thrive or dive under Maresca.
He's been doing a lot of diving, got a lot of saves, so he's going to be diving in this system. The reason why is that Jorgensen will be the number one.
But in an Enzo Maresca system, we've been it says on the tin, great ball-playing goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez.
Oh, God, yeah. So good with
you
his
would
feet.
imagine he should thrive.
He never makes any mistakes, Robert Sanchez, with his
But
feet.
let's be honest, he's going to dive. Can I just ask you a quick question? Has Bergstrom officially been signed?
Bergstrom or
Not
Jorgensen?
Bergstrom. Jorgensen.
Yeah. Bergstrom is signed. He's been with the squad for a while.
He's been plus a while. He's been there a while.
Jorgensen has got the official Fabrizio Romano, here we go, which means, in the ultimate words of every football fan, that means he is signed for Chelsea. He's currently on his way to the US. By the time this video goes out, mate, he will be joined up with the squad. The contracts will be signed. The medical will be complete. And he will be a Chelsea player.
And that leaves me with one question and one question only, Josh.
There you go.
Thrive or dive?
Jorgensen or Sanchez? Jorgensen will thrive in this system. I think that Sanchez might start the season. I don't think he'll end it. So I think that...
So we're going dive for Sanchez.
Dive for Sanchez and thrive for Jorgensen.
Okay.
It's funny, though, because we've always said, you and I, that Jorgensen was the goalkeeper of dreams. Check the receipts.
We've said it.
Check the receipts.
Is he the goalkeeper of dreams? I've got quite a lot of people and a couple of Villarreal fans that are commenting and saying that he ain't the keeper of dreams.
Yeah. Well, people keep saying he's Kepa 2.0.
Yeah.
Which is, reassuring in that Kepa was such a good goalkeeper for us.
Value for money.
Doesn't like to leave the football pitch. Tell you that thing.
No.
He always wants to play. You got to respect that.
Petrovic, unfortunately, not due to ability, but due to the sort of rumours and the rumblings coming out of the club, we probably have to put Petrovic in dive in this system.
Due to the mismanagement of our recruitment team, would you
say
that? Yeah.
I'd say so.
I think the fact that we've signed or have on our books right now 8 goalkeepers tells you everything you need to know. Like, we can't keep signing these sort of like average goalkeepers expecting them to be world class.
The way our defence has been, I reckon we could start all 8 of them in goal and we'd still concede a couple.
Totally agree. Agree. So yeah, I think we haven't really talked too much about Petrovic, and I think it's just a disgrace what's happened to him. He's played so well last season, immediately displaced by Robert Sanchez in this preseason, although he is injured. But it's just a joke. They're forcing him out the door. He's obviously going to go.
And it's not a stretch to say just light years ahead of Robert Sanchez last season, wasn't he? Like, he was so much better, so sturdy. So my only real hope here is that Jorgensen comes in and is a cut above what we've seen, because otherwise we'll regret letting Petrovic go.
We will. But can Petrovic do keep you uppies like Jorgensen can?
I don't know. Can he?
I don't think he can.
Well, that's what you've got to base it on, really, isn't it?
That's all we judge, really, goalkeepers in, to be honest.
I've got him on the list. I don't care whether he thrives or dives. He can fuck off for me. Kepa?
He's sold. I haven't said thrive or dive. I've just said leaving.
Leaving. That's fair. Yeah. I feel like if there's a player on this list and it's not a thrive or a dive, we could maybe put a loan or a sell there.
Yeah, loan or sell.
I mean, to be honest, mate, it's my channel. We can do what the fuck we want.
I also thought potentially of having a category which was meh. Like, they weren't going to fail. They're not going to be amazing. So maybe we'll add in a couple of mess. Give me a couple of mess.
No, I think we've got to raise the stakes and give them a thrive or dive. Then
commit or nothing.
Okay, these lot want a thrive or dive.
I mean, you're always about commitment. You do care about that, don't you?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, fair enough. I'll commit.
Which is why I've got Josh tattooed on my bum cheek.
Yeah, I mean, I've also got Joey, but I got it tattooed in a place that I can't say on camera.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Need not say no more. Reece
what about
James?
that show, by the way, that tattoo show? What's it called? Where they get the mates do the tattoos?
Just tattoo of us.
Just is that what it's called?
Just tattoo of us. Yeah, you want about where you make picture tattoo and Charlotte Crosby was hosting it?
Yeah, Charlotte Crosby is host, and then they literally had a cat's arsehole on someone's belly button.
A couple of good moments, but not a great reality TV show.
It's not good to watch the entire way through, but as a social clip for the 30 seconds of watching a man's sort of belly button be exposed to the cat's arsehole, I would watch that.
Yeah. There's been worse things done to belly buttons, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's not going to make our list, though, of our top reality TV shows.
Wait a second. What list are you talking about? What video are you talking about?
A little video we've got planned for the joint channel.
You need to stop this because people would be going mad for this joint channel.
Honestly,
we haven't even made it. We can't even say to subscribe to it yet.
You know, the other day when all the systems crashed and all the flights were halted and all that.
Yeah.
It's been very similar sort of reaction to, or response, I should say, to us announcing this joint channel.
Yeah, we've basically crashed the internet.
People just can't get on with their lives until it comes out.
Yeah,
So,
it's ridiculous. I think it's actually a bit harsh that you keep doing this to these guys.
I know. Reece James, thrive or dive?
This is an interesting one because I think that he's going to be played in a position that's going to be unusual to him. And I don't think he's going to be a resounding success in either one of those positions. I don't think he'll be an amazing inverted fullback. And I think as a wide centre-back, he's wasted. So I can't actually say thrive.
I can say thrive because I just think that the quality is there for Reece James. I do think, I don't want to jinx things, but I do think he'll have an injury-free season. I'm not saying he might miss the odd game here and there, but I don't think he's going to be, sidelined for large chunks of the season like he has been for the last 3 or so years. And I think his quality in there, on the ball as well, that right-sided centre-back position, he may well thrive in. And listen, let's see how Cucurella comes back. Let's see what Enzo Maresca has up his sleeve, because I've been wrong many times. I'll be wrong again probably, and maybe Enzo Maresca might have something in there. But I'm going to purely say thrive on the fact that Reece James is too good a player to dive. Yeah. And I do think that despite it not being the main factor, maybe even a major factor, I do think when we look at Reece James's injury record, maybe if he had been playing in a different position, possibly a right centre-back position, like we might see of him in a free at the back, if Cucurella ends up being the one inverted, I do think that maybe he might have picked up less wear and tear, less injuries.
I think also there's a very, very small chance, and you got a lot of banter about putting Chilwell on the left-hand side. I think there's a small chance that Gusto and Reece James end up occupying that right wing position. Because I do think, at the moment, who would you say our best right wingers are? Noni Madueke and what? Cole Palmer is the options.
Yes.
Cole Palmer's going to be playing through the middle.
Yeah.
So if he's playing through the middle, then you've only got one option. If Noni gets injured, we've got to think about right wingers. And I don't see why Reece couldn't play on the right wing.
Mate, when you look at delivery, and I'm not just even going to talk about Reece here, and I think we're agreeing Reece, so we go on to Malo Gusto, thrive or dive, and I'll carry on making my point by going on to him. The delivery from those two boys is exquisite. We've already seen, right, that we've leveled up massively in set pieces, right? I believe that the set pieces are looking way, way better. Now, it could be down to the guy we went and snatched off Brentford, the set piece coach.
Quavers.
Yep.
Love him.
Is that his name?
Christian Quaver, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, that's his name.
Chris Quaver?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
What a name. What a crisp.
He sounds like a snack. Yeah. So, I do believe that Quaver has got us a lot better from set pieces. But I would also say you could just look at it and say, well, Reece James is on set pieces.
Yeah, true.
But maybe identifying who should be taking those set pieces is one of the main strengths that this man has got. Because clearly, right, when Reece James was on the pitch, he wasn't he wasn't the go-to set-piece taker. Yeah. So I think we're going to see a lot better. I even think from open play, delivery of a ball, Reece James, Malo Gusto, two of our best. Yeah, two of our absolute best. So I wouldn't rule it out in terms of, Reece James or Malo Gusto starting further forward, and I think we might see it. I think maybe there'd be better fits there than Ben Chilwell, like I had suggested after we heard the news that he was training with the wingers. So Malo Gusto, what I will say here though, again, I don't think that I can just have blue tinted glasses on, look at how good a player is, and just say, yeah, Thrive, they're that good. I've already used that of Reece James. I can't just go using that of every player, can I?
No.
So when we talk about Malo Gusto, and the best of Malo Gusto from what we've seen, and I'm not saying he didn't do all right in the inverted role, if I had to say one or the other, I think, unfortunately, I'm going to lean towards Dive. And I'm going to do that by looking down the camera now and saying that is absolutely nothing on Malo Gusto. No. Malo Gusto is absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love the boy. Love him. I think he's a brilliant player. I don't think this system is going to get the best out of Malo Gusto. And therefore, I'm not going to be a fence sitter and I'm not going to cop out like I did a little bit of Reece James and go, he's just too good, he'll thrive. I think that Malo Gusto will still be a good player for us, still be very, very good, but I don't think that this system is going to play to his strengths. So then you'd have to put him in the Dive category.
Yeah, and I just don't think he's going to get the game time that we expect. He had a lot of game time last season with the Reece James injury, and I just can't see with the system and with Reece being potentially fit for we very much hope the entire year, I just can't see him playing, let alone with everything else that's going on.
Can I just ask you lot a favour? Please don't come for me in the comments over this, because I want to make it very, very clear.
Yeah, we love
this. Is not me banishing Malo Gusto to the bench. This isn't me saying that Malo Gusto isn't good enough for Chelsea. He was in our top 3 players last season, right?
You wanted him at left back, Joey.
I wanted him at left back.
Yeah, you wanted him anywhere on the pitch.
And by the way, this whole video is under the assumption that Enzo Maresca sticks with the system that we've seen in the first 2 matches of pre-season. If he doesn't, and we go a bit more traditional with our fullbacks, fucking thrive, mate. Yeah, cool, still thrive. But in this system, I don't think you see the best out of Malo Gusto in a back 3. I don't think you see the best out of him inverted. Maybe if we play him on the wing, but then it's really a stretch. So if I'm really putting my neck on the line and giving you a valid opinion, you'd have to say systematically he'd have to fall into the Dive category.
I think it's a Dive.
Maybe that's just a harsh word.
No, I think this is why I think you need a meh category. But also, I don't even know if he fits into that because I just can't see him playing as much as he did last season. And if he doesn't play as much as he did, how is he going to make the impact that we need to say that he's had a good season?
Next name on the list is our boy, Trevor Chalobah. We know he's going to be going out the door. Absolutely disgraceful what they're doing with him. But what I would say is systematically, it's a fucking tap-in, isn't it? It's Thrive.
It's a joke. He should be playing.
But when we're saying Thrive or Dive for Trevor Chalobah and his sister, it's well Thrive.
I'll tell you what the reason why he's Thrive is because he's going to go elsewhere and he's going to be absolutely brilliant and we're going to miss him immensely.
I think this system would suit Trev.
I think it would. And also the fact that we saw him playing for the reserve, he played in the reserve team that when Chelsea were playing the same day as the Celtic match. He was captain for that reserve team side. He looked absolutely fantastic and apparently he had a very good game as well. So it just tells you everything you need to know. This guy just bleeds Chelsea blue. And the fact that he's not been taken on this tour, bearing in mind that Disasi is injured and that he's never put a foot wrong for Chelsea, I actually think there's a bit of tactical thing in with our board right now because if he goes on that tour and outperforms all the other players, then it makes it look even more stupid that they're selling him.
They can't have him.
They can't have it.
They can't have him there because he would be outperforming them.
Yeah.
Like at the minute, if it is down to me, I know we're playing the 3 at the minute, but if we're playing a back 4 at the minute, it'd be Trevor Chalobah and Tosin.
As a 3, he looks even better though, to be fair, doesn't he? He could fit in on that right-hand side. We saw Wesley Fofana having a bit of that game where it was like, where even was he? Like he was having some really weird moments in that pitch. I don't think that Trevor would be doing that, to be fair.
I think Trevor Chalobah is better than Wesley Fofana, to be honest.
That's a big shout.
Maybe it's harsh.
I don't think it. I think a lot of Chelsea fans would agree. In fact, let us know in the comments who's better, Wesley or Trev.
Let's go with Levi Colwell, Thrive or Dive?
Thrive. I think he'll play pretty much all of the season.
I think he'll thrive.
Yeah.
Interesting one here. Axel Disasi, Thrive or Dive?
I think he's actually going to play more than we think because I don't know how fit Wesley's going to be for the entire season. Obviously, Disasi's coming off a small injury himself. But actually, if you think about the pace and the physicality he's going to need to get back in a back 3 system, I think Disasi might outperform some of the other players. I think he might actually end up playing more than Badiashile. That's my sort of shout of the day.
Do you know what, mate? I also had Thrive.
Did you?
Axel Disasi. Yeah. I think like individual errors let Axel Disasi a lot down last season. He had a few good games in there. I can think of a few really good performances. Didn't he have almost a man of a match performance in the draw against Man City at the Etihad?
I was literally going to say City.
And also, not only that, surprising us somewhat at times. I remember being in Stamford Bridge and seeing it a couple of times. He played right back a few times, didn't he?
He did.
And I think the players that have shown the versatility last season to go across on a back four and play right back, I think in a right centre-back role could probably do quite well. So I'd say it with, not through gritted teeth, but, I'm not confidently, I'm not saying it with my chest, but if I had to put my money on it, I'm going to go Thrive for Axel Disasi in this system. And that moves me on to Benoit Badiashile. When Benoit Badiashile came into Chelsea Football Club and he was paired with Thiago Silva, he had that experienced man next to him. Some would say, maybe not myself, but some would say holding his hand a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought he looked class. I thought his range of passing looked very good. I thought he was calm and composed on the ball. Real physical presence. And I would say that his performances have declined. There have been underlying factors. It's not going to have been an easy time for any player trying to settle in to a club that is so unsettled. But in pre-season so far as well, he's left a lot to the imagination, to put it lightly, hasn't he?
I also do think he's been isolated, though. Like, I think there's almost like a dereliction of duty from some of those other centre-backs that have just left him. Like, even Levi Cole, right, who we really rate and we think is an exceptional player. I do think in elements of that game against Celtic, he left Badiashile by himself. And they're all meant to be a unit. So I think it's harsh to isolate him by himself, because I do think, actually, in moments of that game, he was the only defender back.
One thing we could never say about Thiago Silva,
yeah,
he didn't leave a man by himself.
He never left a man by himself.
No.
Would you bring him back? Would you have re-signed him and given him another year?
Yeah.
I
would have given him another year.
Me too.
Yeah.
Would you have done that as opposed to signing Tosin? If you were the director,
do you know
of football?
what? Like, yeah, like just the pure Chelsea in me is like, yeah, but at the same time, I'm very optimistic about Tosin. And I actually think that it's a good deal that we've got for Tosin as well.
Yeah,
the wages aren't astronomical. We got him on a free.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the Tosin deal. I think
Five or dive on Benoit, then.
Go on then, yeah.
I'm going to say dive.
I would lean towards dive.
Yeah.
I would lean towards dive. But again, this is going to be one of them videos where we might get a bit of hate in the comments. And look, I don't like that because we love you guys. We love the watchers of this channel, and we don't want to upset them. But ultimately, it'd be a fucking boring video if I just gave everyone a fry.
But also, this isn't what we think. No, this is based on where we think they're going to fit within the system, and I just don't think he's going to play as often as we expect actually in this system.
Wesley Fofana, Thrive or dive?
Found this a really hard one, to be honest with you. Based on pre-season, you're going to say dive. But I think based on when he gets up to full fitness and when he's drilled in this setup, I think that Maresca's going to do something really good with Wesley Fofana.
I know it probably wasn't the same injury, but like where we've seen a real lack of pace, especially so far from Wesley Fofana since coming back in the team. Some could say...
Do you think that? I don't think he looks slow. I just think he looks out of position.
I thought he's looked slow quite a few
times.
I
think Tosin looks way slower than
But
Wes does.
maybe I'm reading the game wrong. Maybe he's out of position. For me,
I think he's just out of
he's
position.
looked slow a couple of times, and it worries me because the first thing I don't want to speak too soon, but when the penny started to drop a little bit with me for the fact that I don't think Amanda Broha has fully recovered, and he's still a young player, still plenty of time to do so, but other players have come back from injuries and probably hit the ground running way, way quicker. When the penny started to drop, one of the first reasons it started to drop for me was because I just saw that pace, that explosiveness, right? Maybe once he gets going, he can still be a bit rapid, but that 0 to 100 over a short amount of ground had just left him.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me about Fofana a little bit coming off the back of that injury, but I very much hope I'm wrong.
I'd love to see the numbers. I'd love to see the data behind it because, he had a really significant injury and it will slow him down. When I'm watching him, though, I haven't seen like a massive issue with his speed. I just
Let's
think
put it
it's
down
position.
to these lot. Does he look slower, or am I jumping the gun there?
Yeah.
Thrive or dive, Wesley Fofana?
I think he's in this system. I think he's going to play a lot, so I think he'll thrive.
I think he'll thrive. I think he'll thrive. I really hope he does.
Yeah.
Really, really hope he does. I think one we could probably agree on quite comfortably is Tosin. I think he's going to thrive. Do you think he's going to thrive?
I'm worried with Tosin where he's going to end up playing, if he's going to be the central centre-back or whether he's going to be on one of the sides. I feel if he ends up in one of the sides, he's going to dive because the recovery pace and his mobility concerns me. But I feel if he ends up being the central centre-back, I think he'll thrive. So for me, I know I'm hedging my bets a little bit on that, but I don't quite know where he fits in at the moment in terms of the system. He played on the right-hand side, didn't he, when he came on against Celtic?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
I want to see him in the middle. And I want to see that before I judge the dive. So if you're asking me to say one or the other, I feel like he might end up coalescing into the middle, so I'll say thrive.
Okay. Let's move on to Mark Cucurella.
Your favourite player of all time. You're going to dye your hair red. You're going to get the perm. You're going to grow it out.
Who did it better, Cucurella or Rihanna?
I mean, to be fair, Rihanna probably.
Really?
It's just, it's Rihanna.
I never fancied Rihanna, you know.
That's a disgrace.
Not my type. I just never.
A disgrace.
I'm not saying she was an ugly bird or anything. I just never fancied her.
You're wrong. Get a grip.
Back door's not big enough for me. I like.
Sorry.
I like to be able to
like
rest.
A nice bottom.
I like it to be like a shelf. I like to be able to be stood there having a sip of my beer and then just be able to rest it on there like a mantelpiece or something. You know, but great face.
Harsh.
Needs a little bit more.
So you're saying Cucurella's got a shelf?
He's not shellfish.
He is the fullback of dreams in this system.
Do you know what? It kind of depends, doesn't it? And actually, it doesn't.
It doesn't depend. He is the best.
It doesn't depend.
Don't try and make this into a story, mate. He's so good.
I'm not at all. It's a tap-in. It's thrive.
It's a tap-in.
However, if he's the left-hand side of the three, I think he does well.
Okay.
If he is the inverted fullback that plays in the middle,
which is what he's going to
do. Hopefully, if Maresca does it, I think he absolutely thrives better than some of the players that we're going to read out.
Right, I'm going to say it now. I think that Mark Cucurella will be our player of the season next year.
Over Cole Palmer?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Over Tyreek George?
Yeah.
Really?
Over Caicedo.
Over Broa?
Over Nkunku. Yeah. Over Jackson.
Right. Well, we'll clip this and we'll come back to it at the end of the season, which moves me on to Ben Chilwell, thrive or dive?
Dive. I think by the end of pre-season he might be sold because he's going to see his game time and he's going to realise he's never going to play because he can't fit in the system. As you said, he's not a winger. He hasn't actually even been training with the wingers. He's never going to be the inverted fullback unless he learns it very, very quickly. He's never going to be one of the back three. He's barely going to play this year. Renato Viega...
he's not actually a good tackler of the ball either.
Viega is going to be above him. Yeah. And that tells you everything you need to know. If I was Ben Chilwell right now and Ben Chilwell's agent, I would be on the phone 24/7. I'd be trying to find another club because if I just can't see him playing.
It's hard, isn't it?
This is nothing. This is not me or you saying that we don't rate him. I loved Ben Chilwell. He's given us some fantastic memories of Chelsea. He just doesn't fit into what Maresca is going to do unless Maresca changes it. And maybe by the end of pre-season, if we keep losing all these games, mate, maybe we will change it. As you say.
You know what the hard thing is as well? It's like the back catalogue of recent history that you're going to look at with Ben Chilwell would lead you to suggest it's more him than the system as well, because he didn't have a good season last season. I get he was injured a lot of the time, hard coming back from injury. We've given Wesley Fofana a bit of leeway and whatnot when we're saying he's coming back from a long-term injury, but at the same time, Chile ain't look great. And do you know what? You could probably sum it up by saying it used to be a real thorn in our side when those two would go out injured in Chile and Reece. The only reason why it's not a massive thorn in our side now is because we've got Malo Gusto there. And you could say the same for the fact we've got Cucurella there over Chile, but even if we didn't have Cucurella, I don't think we miss that presence of Ben Chilwell that much when he's not there. So
if you've got the left-hand side, you've got Cucurella number 1, Viega number 2, and you've got Cole number 3. And then you've got Chilwell number 4. Tells you everything you need to know. He's meant to be one of our most experienced players, vice captain, 200 grand a week. I could see him being gone by the end of the summer.
And when you look at the bigger sides now and the sides that are competing at the top of the league, it's not actually often now that they'll have two of the sort of, I don't want to say old school because it's not old school, we're going back a couple of years, but the more conventional fullbacks, i.e. Reece and Chile, you look now and it's like, okay, Arsenal might have a Zinchenko on one side, for example, but they'll have been you're often getting a centre back in one of them sides. The same way Man City do it with Guardiola. There's a lot of players that do that. So yeah, I think dive for Ben Chilwell. Unfortunately,
it's gutting to say, but I think he will be gone.
I've got him on the list here just because a lot of the time you do need 2-3 per position. But I don't think it's worth even really talking about. Caleb Wiley?
Yeah, loads about him. We all know. We've watched him week in, week out. I don't think this guy will ever play for Chelsea.
Me neither. Can I tell you one thing?
Why didn't they just sign him at Strasbourg? I don't get it.
I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing, right? You do not need to give me the nationality. We know he's American, but if you just told me the first name, if you said,
it's Caleb.
His name's Caleb. Where's he from? I'm going, America, obviously.
Yeah.
You've never had an English person called Caleb. Oh my God, mate. I was watching a TikTok the other day. English names that are going extinct, yeah?
Frank.
My best mate's Frank.
Gary.
People don't want to call him Gary.
Gareth?
Gary Glitter. Gareth's all right.
I think Gareth.
But I'll tell you one, right? Obviously, because of the whole phrase that's come up in recent times, Karen, there hasn't been a child named Karen in 3 years.
That makes sense. It's not a nice name to start off with.
Karen's all right. My mum's best mate's called Karen. She's fucking lovely.
Big up to the Karens.
Absolutely lovely. Right, okay, let's move on to Caicedo. Thrive, and we believe in a sort of new role, new position.
Yeah, he's gonna tear it up this season. Caicedo is gonna be a world beater in centre mid. If he isn't already, to be fair.
Well, you made your prediction, Mark Cucurella, player of the season. I think we could see Caicedo.
Do you think?
I think the obvious shout's Cole Palmer, but what we will do is we're going to do an official prediction video on this channel. It's going to be coming to you, and it will come to you before the start of the season, and we will predict who will win Chelsea's player of the season in that video.
Are we going to do a Chelsea one and then do a Premier League one as well? Yeah. We should do one just for Chelsea.
Yeah, we do it just for Chelsea. We don't really care about Chelsea. So, Caicedo, we're agreeing on Thrive for that.
100%. It could be one of our best players.
Another man, I think it's pretty easy that we're both going to agree on Thrive, as long as he can stay fit and available on the pitch, liking what we're seeing so far, Romeo Lavia.
Only question mark on this, because I agree with you, is whether Enzo plays in that position instead. But I could see Lavia really, really pushing him to start.
If he stays, Ugachukwu, Thrive or dive?
I don't think he'll stay, first of all. I think if he does stay, it will be a bad career move for him. So I'm going to say dive.
I would actually say, in terms of contribution on the pitch, I would say Thrive. I don't think he's going to be bad on the pitch at all. However, we've got to factor in how many minutes that these guys are going to be getting, sort of thing. And that's what I would say when I'm looking at it. Again, if you were playing Agent of Este, you would be right to probably angle for a move.
It was kind of my dream job for a long time, being Agent of Este, football agent. Yeah. If I was advising him, I'd be saying to him, get a really good loan at a top club around the world.
What did you want to be when you were younger?
To be honest with you, I would have, footballer first of all, but then if I wasn't going to be a footballer, I would have wanted to be a football agent.
Do you want to know?
Or a football manager.
Do you want to know what I thought I was going to do when I was younger? And this is God's honest truth. I'm not just saying it. And I stumbled into media, podcasting, stuff like that.
Boxer?
No.
Radio host?
Mate, I was always...
Sky Sports?
None of the above. I was always... And it sounds mad that I'm about to say I was confident that this is what I was going to do. It sounds mental. But from a very young age, probably 6, 7 years old, do you know what I honestly thought I was going to do?
Stripper.
Sounds cringe. No, it sounds cringe. I thought I was going to win Big Brother.
No way. You watched Big Brother and went, that's the pinnacle of my life, that is.
I used to watch Big Brother.
What was your strategy?
Just
get in a hot tub.
Just be myself.
Just get in a pool.
Get in a hot tub. Get my cozy in. Get Orla in. And just see what happens. What happens. Orla. Yeah, she was
You liked
tidy.
Orla. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good series. What series was that?
I don't know, but I remember Kinga shoved a wine bottle up the old.
She put it where the sun don't shine. She did.
Oh yeah. I wonder what she's up to now.
And what was interesting with that is you could have watched the 24-hour cameras and you saw all of that shit going on in real time. Did you watch that E4 middle of the night?
Yeah, and do you remember when they were talking about saying controversial or interesting?
Or they were going to put in the show.
They used to have birds start tweeting.
Loved it. Yeah. You knew that was going to be something good coming
Funny, wasn't it? Right, so Ugachuk, we were probably going to say dive. A man that I would probably be quite confident would thrive in this system is Renato Vega. I do think, unlike the likes of Ugachukwu, who was brought in last season, Casaday, Andre Santos, I don't think he's going to be that style of signing. I think this is a man we're going to see a fair bit of, especially with the amount of games that we've got.
He hasn't played that much. Well, I just think he hasn't played that much sort of first team football, really. He's only had, 1.5 seasons at the top level. He didn't really go crazy in Germany, obviously outperforming, playing very well in the Swiss league for Basel. But yeah, I like this guy a lot. And I just think I'm reticent slightly because I don't know how much he's going to play. But with all the competitions that we've got, I think he's a Conference League player. He's going to be doing a lot of Conference League games. And so if he performs there and we go through to the final, then yeah, maybe he will be a player that thrives. I could see him winning a place by the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I don't think immediately he'll be starting.
Attributes-wise, stylistically, from what we've seen of him, I think that if the setup stays the way it is, I think he's a very useful player for that setup. So I do think thrive.
Agreed.
I'm not saying he's going to be a world beater, but I do think thrive. Interesting one. We've got to speak about it.
Yeah.
Enzo Fernandez. Now, before we go thrive or dive on this, can I just ask you, where does Enzo play in this system?
I think he's the DM, the 4 or the 6, whatever you want to call it these days, like the deepest midfielder.
And in a strongest lineup you would have?
If it was me making the decision, the DM would be Lavia.
Right. So then, where's Cucurella? Does he still invert?
Yeah, Cucurella would be alongside either Enzo or Lavia.
And it almost becomes a 3. And then you've got the other guys pushed up.
3 at the back, 2 pivots, and then the 2 attacking 8s.
So hold on. So if you go with Enzo and Lavia...
No, it won't be both of them. It'll be either or.
Mate, I'm telling you now, when Clear Lake went and signed Enzo, Caicedo, and Lavia, they did not think that they were signing these boys to not play together.
No, I don't think they ever expected all 3 of those to play in the same midfield. If they did, they were wrong because they're too similar. They're too similar.
But do you think you spend that sort of money if you don't expect them to play together?
I think what happened was that the price was exacerbated because there was other interest, as per all the other players. I think they wanted to get Lavia for 30 odd million. But it's interesting, isn't it? It was all our boy from Man City that wanted to bring those players in. I mean, he did what he needed to do. I mean, big watcher of the channel, isn't he?
Joe Shields,
Joe Shields, love you. So he wanted Lavia.
Do you know what my concern is? I think that the playmaking ability is better when Enzo has more of the pitch in front of him. So I'd agree in that sort of defensive midfield. We're a lot deeper. But I don't actually think defensively he is... I don't think he's a bad player, but I wouldn't list that as one of the first attributes I talk about of him.
In this system... The DM is less of a destroyer. I think that the inverted fullback is more of the destroyer in that role.
And Cucurella very much is that.
Exactly. So the key thing for this is ball retention when they get the pass, because ultimately they get that first pass from the goalkeeper. They have to turn and retain possession, which is a really hard thing to do. And we saw players like Kovacic do that immensely well for us back in the past. And then forward passing, and Enzo's stats on both are very good. Yeah. So that's why I could see him playing.
Fair play. Okay, let's move on to Conor Gallagher.
Conor.
He's not going to be here, is he?
I don't
think
this is
the problem.
I think unless he really digs his heels in, I could see this being one that's on deadline day at the end of the summer, mate.
And then really cheap because they know that ultimately you get him for free. And if you're a European club, within 6 months you can negotiate with him.
Yeah, 100%.
Or can they negotiate now?
They can negotiate in 6 months' time.
6 months' time. Yeah. So you think it could end up being like a deadline day?
I think he might not end up going to Atletico. You know, I think he might end up going to Spurs. Yeah.
Go Atletico. Go Atletico. Yeah. I'm not just saying it because I don't like Spurs. Go Atletico. Honestly.
He would be great there.
You'll probably win something there.
You probably will, yeah.
You got more chance of winning something than you have at Spurs, didn't you? So.
100%, yeah. I mean, you're never going to win anything at Spurs.
If he was to stay,
I think he could thrive.
I think he could thrive.
But only if we hadn't have signed Dewsbury Hall.
Yeah.
Because they're too similar.
Well, let's move on then to Kieran Dewsbury Hall. Thrive or dive. I am going to plant my flag in the ground right now and say thrive. He will thrive in this system.
I think he will. I think he'll play a lot. And I think for me, what I love about him is he will get up and down and he will support the defence. And I think we do need one of those 8s to really support Lavia. So I think he'll be playing quite a lot.
Really interested for your thoughts on this one.
Yep.
Seen a lot of him in pre-season. Probably, I think, the only player that has completed a full 90 in pre-season. Carney.
Yeah. I think he'll thrive. I think because of the way that the 8s play, I don't think he'll be starting very often in the Premier League. I think he'll get a lot of cup games. I think he'll play a lot in the Conference League. And it's mad to say because I think a lot of our commenters and a lot of people watching us really rate Carney and think that he'll be a key member in the first team. But my God, how are you fitting him in that midfield? I've got no idea.
Do you know what the problem is though? Like, I think as football fans, excitement is half of what we want. Like that's ultimately we want performances on the pitch, we want to win, but also we do want excitement and stuff. And if the links with or the links around sort of selling Carney, AC Milan were interested early on in the window. If they were to come to fruition with Carney Chukwuemeka, I would just feel like I'd almost want to throw the towel in when it comes to getting excited for signings now. Like, I understand the model of the club. I'm not naive. It doesn't make me agree with it, but you can sit here and moan as long as you want, and ultimately you'll end up becoming one of these negative YouTubers. I'm not going to name names. But if you do that, you're probably going to turn people off your content and you're probably going to turn the fans off. And I do want to be able to get excited about players.
Yeah.
But if we were to go and get rid of Carney in this window, it'd make me very, what's the word? I wouldn't want to get excited about signings because ultimately when one comes in, shows glimpses of potential and of a really good player in there, like Carney Chukwuemeka has when he's been on the pitch, and then you just move him on before we get a chance to ever see him get a run in the team. It's going to be very, very hard to get excited about a Kellyman, about,
mate, Kellyman is never going to play for Chelsea. I'm sorry.
Do you think
he's never going to play?
20 mil, he should.
It's so sad.
Mil,
mate, he's not even on the tour. Yeah. He's not even gone on the. He's a brand new signing that we brought in for 19 million quid. And he's not even on the tour. If that doesn't tell you about what's going on with PSR and FFP, nothing will. Imagine if we signed a player for 19 million like a couple of years ago. He would have been straight in the first team squads. We didn't even 2 or 3 years ago. We would never have even signed a young player for that amount of money and not thought about playing them in the team. It tells you everything you need to know. So
Carney will go with Thrive.
Carney, I think, will go with Thrive.
But there's a lot
I could see someone coming in. A lot of intangibles, but I could see someone coming in and paying the 40 million release clause as well. 40 million euros, by the way. Not even pounds. 40 million euros.
Pounds?
Like 30 or 35 million quid.
35?
Yeah, 35 million quid.
Mate.
AC Milan are going to come in and they're going to pay that.
Not even just AC Milan, though. Like, fucking Nottingham Forest could come in and pay that.
Easily. So that's why he could be gone.
It's mad.
Yeah.
Do you want a nice easy one?
Yeah, go on.
Nice.
Give me a tap in
for us.
Give me a tap in.
Thrive.
Chili.
Not chili.
Yeah. Cole Palmer. My rationale on this is because it's so easy to say Thrive. My rationale is that my prediction is I don't think he'll get as many numbers this year as he did last year.
I think if that was to happen, that wouldn't be awful though, because it's like when you set the bar ridiculously high.
Yeah. And look, I've got him in my fancy football
team. When you say as many,
I'm
guessing you're not alluding to a prediction that he's only going to get half.
No, I don't. I just don't think he might. You think he might get?
What was it? How many goals and assists was it last season?
Was it like 35 odd across all competitions?
Yeah. If he ended up with, do you know what? You're wrong, mate.
You think he could do more than that?
Well, how many games are we going to have in the Conference League?
Well, yeah, but he won't be playing in the Conference League.
He will, mate.
I don't think he will.
He needs to be.
I don't think he will.
This is leading me off on another discussion, but we need to have it. Are you saying we don't go all out to win the Conference League?
We're going to be playing a very weakened team for the Conference League.
Mate.
We are going to be playing.
No.
Yeah, 100%.
No.
Yeah, you might even see Kelly.
If you're in it, you're in it to win it.
Yeah, but, Chelsea should be beating the teams in the Conference League with the B team.
Yeah, we should. But what did I say about momentum?
Yeah.
Momentum builds as you win games.
Thursday, Sunday, though, mate. We've done it before in the Europa League. It's not easy.
Yeah.
You're going to have to rest it. And if we get injuries as well, we're going to have to rotate. That's why we need to keep a lot of these players in the squad.
So you didn't get on too bad with the old Thursday, Sundays. Aston Villa this season.
Aston Villa, yeah.
There you go.
So,
and I'll tell you what we thought. Not having the extra games going to help us out.
Yeah.
There you go. Towards the back end of the season, it came well, but it didn't in the most part. So I don't know. I think we go all out to win the Conference League. You lot let me know in the comments section. Do we start weaker teams in that competition? I don't think we do. I think we go in there, we fucking have it. We blast some of these teams that are only part-time footballers away and we absolutely storm it, win the Conference League. Cole Palmer's obviously Thrive. Let's move on to another very clear, very obvious Thrive that we don't have to spend too long on. Christopher Nkunku.
Yes, he's going to be great, isn't he?
This is going to be the season.
He could be a player of the season.
Yeah.
So, put that up in your categories. I thought he's looked amazing in pre-season, and I think he's going to be absolutely exceptional for us this year. Yeah.
Raheem Sterling, Thrive or Dive?
I think he'll thrive, actually.
Are
think
we
he'll play
just
a lot.
saying that, though, because of these 2 games?
No.
Because, to play devil's advocate here, as much as I'm banging the drum to not draw a conclusion that Chelsea are going to be rubbish because we haven't won in these 2 games, we should also look at it from the other side and maybe say, don't just think Sterling's going to be magnificent because he's looked decent in them 2 games.
When in this system, all the wingers need to do is stay high and wide. And
This
that
is
is
it,
what
isn't
Raheem
it?
Sterling does.
This is it.
That is what he does. If he doesn't have any defensive responsibility, Raheem Sterling can be a good player for Chelsea. He can be a good player for anyone. So that I think the system in the way that the wingers are playing will enable him to be successful.
Is Sterling, and this might sound very harsh, but is he the most likely player to have a redemption arc this season?
Beyond players that were injured, yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Because you know who, definitely before the Celtic match, I was sort of thinking, not saying I thought he would have a redemption arc, but thinking he could be up there with most likely for a redemption arc would have actually been Robert Sanchez.
Yeah, but he's absolutely had a car crash.
Not going to be him.
yeah, it's not going to be him.
be
He
him.
will be replaced by Jorgensen. The fact that they've signed another goalkeeper tells you everything you need to know.
I'm not going to say this with my chest,
Yeah.
but I am going to say 5 for Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
Tyrick George, do you think he'll go out on loan?
I don't think it'll be 5 unless he goes out on loan, and I could see him going out on loan. I mean, maybe he will be one of those players that is in around the sort of the youth squad and then plays some games for us, maybe some of those Conference League games.
Yep.
But I want to see him. I want to see him develop. Maresca seems to like him.
Okay. Mudryk, 5 or dive? Let me go first. Because
I've got a connection with this.
It's hard because you have got a very close personal connection with him.
I'm biased.
Probably going to say dive, you know.
Why is he going to get worse this season?
I didn't say it's going to get worse.
Dive means gets worse.
No, it doesn't.
What does
It
it
means
mean?
will they thrive or dive in this system?
Okay.
And he could be the same level as he was last season, and
Yeah.
I would class that as a dive.
Okay.
So
Because he hasn't been good enough in your opinion.
So I don't think he's going to get worse. To put that out there now, that's not what I think. I don't think he's going to get worse.
Yeah.
I don't see him taking the league by storm.
Okay.
But I tell you what, never in life do you hope to be made to look like an idiot. I hope I'm made to look like an idiot here.
Fair enough. I do think that those, like Raheem and Mikhailo, will be competing very aggressively against each other for that left-hand side. And I think it's going to be a brutal battle. I think they're both going to share game time.
Well, I'd say Raheem might win the battle just due to youth.
But will he
Maybe
win the
Mudryk
Euro?
will win the war.
There you go.
There you go. Angelo, thrive or dive? I just think he'll go out on loan again.
Loan. I can't
Yeah.
think you say either way.
Yeah. Bro,
I don't know if he gets better. I'm really worried about his development. Because
Angelo's.
because in Strasbourg he didn't play enough. So I hope if he does go to Strasbourg again, he plays week in, week out, and he progresses. Because if he doesn't progress, that means a dive for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't even know if you should go to Strasbourg, though. Maybe go somewhere else. I know we got our hands burnt a little bit with loaning Andre Santos to
So you
to
saying-
Forest, and almost with I know it ended up being a permanent deal, but almost with Lewis Hall to Newcastle as well. When we've loaned outside of clubs that we don't own, maybe it hasn't gone all that well for him. David Datro Fofana, he didn't do bad at Burnley.
He didn't.
But nah, I don't want to put him in dive. I just think he'll go out on loan. So let's just see. Brower, I think that he will be sold. The only sort of bit where I repute that a little bit is thinking who's going to come in for him at the price we apparently want. Do we end up letting Amanda Broha, a man who we once thought would be valued around 50 million, do we end up accepting like under 20 mil for him?
I think we should. The club that I could see him going to is Everton. They're going to sell Dominic Calvert-Lewin this summer because he's only got 1 year left on his contract, and he's not going to sign another one. And so they're going to need a striker last minute in the window, and Bro is probably the most similar player that they could get that's available and reasonably priced. So I think he's going to go there.
So neither thrive or dive, but he's just probably going to go.
I think if you're looking at his career as a whole, I think his career will dive. I think this injury has done significant enough damage to him. I don't think he gets in the Everton team, and I think he ends up having a trajectory, a career. Is it harsh to say of a Dele Alli? Is that harsh to say?
I don't think it's harsh. I don't think it's anywhere near Dele Alli levels. Like Dele
Well,
Alli was the man.
in Dele Alli had a very good start to his career, but
Yeah.
I mean, look at what has happened.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still in the peak of his athletic powers, Dele Alli. And
Well, he could be linking up with Dele Alli
there you go.
at Everton.
There you go.
Everton's a great fit for him. I hope he goes there. I hope he does well.
I hope both of those players do really well, actually. Dele and Broja.
Yeah. Interesting here. David Datro Fofana, right? If we don't bring a striker in, now I look at our striking options and I go, right, okay, Nicholas Jackson, yeah. I go, Mark Yu. I don't think that Enzo Maresca fancies Nkunku as a striker. And I think Nkunku's going to have a really good season. So it's no plight on him that he doesn't fancy him as a number 9. I think David Datro Fofana we should probably keep him around, no?
We're going to sign someone else, mate. They keep saying we want a winger and a striker. I don't think those rumours are going to go away. Mark Yu has been brilliant, and he's absolutely, I think, put a little thing in their mind right now about whether we do need another striker. I still think in their head they think we need 2 out-and-out strikers and then like a young player that's coming through. And so I could just see them signing someone. I do think, and I used this example earlier on, I think Datro Fofana is an example of the model going forward in that we'll sign players that have a lot of potential for a very cheap price, loan them out for a couple of seasons, and then sell them for a profit. I think that's the model that we're going for.
Let me ask you, Sandy.
I don't think he'll play again for Chelsea.
You said in terms of his career about Broja, you think his career would be on a diving trajectory now.
Yeah.
What about David Datro Fofana?
I think he'll go and progress.
Yeah, I think he's going to carve out a decent little career for himself.
I think so too.
I don't know at what level. I don't think I'm talking about for a Champions League club or anything like that.
Mid-table challenging Premier League club, I think he'd do really well for. I think he'd be good at a Brighton or a Brentford. I think he'd be really good at. So,
do you know if we were going back 10, 15 years, who he'd go to and be really good at? Who? Sunderland.
I could see him being wonderful.
Can you picture that?
I can.
Do you remember
him alongside Darren
Bent? A little bit? What is it? Asimo Jan, people like that. Yeah. Darren Bent. Yeah. I could see David Datro Fofana being a good sort of 2010 Sunderland player.
Love
Adam
that.
Johnson whipping in balls.
Golden era of Premier League football, that was.
Yeah. Lastly, Mark Yu.
Well, there's 2 players because you've forgotten one player that you definitely...
Who have I forgotten?
Nicholas Jackson.
Jackson! Oh my God! Thank God you done that. I'd get pelters in the comments for that.
You've already forgotten about him. He's been gone for 3 games. And you've already forgotten about Nicholas Jackson.
I love Jackson, the old Jacko Raban. Love him. Okay, let's go Jackson before we go Q. Thrive or dive for Nicholas Jackson.
Thrive. I think he might end up playing games as a left winger if we sign another player. By the way, this season.
Will he get more goals than he got last season?
Yes.
Yep. In the league?
I think he will. I think he will, yeah. I think he'll be one of those players that's, that picks up more goals off of Cole Palmer. As I say, I don't think he'll score as many. But I think
do you think that the weight will be off his shoulders a little bit now, Nicholas Jackson?
I think the confidence, I think he'll be, coursing through his veins. I think he'll be going into this season going, yeah, I am good enough to play at this level and I am Chelsea's number 9.
And do you know what I think? I think he feels the love now.
I think he does. I hope he does.
I don't think he felt like the opposite to love. I don't think he felt hated or anything. But then, the internet and the media were quite harsh on him at first. But I think now he's got to know the Chelsea fans a little bit. He's gauged the feeling. He's checked the temperature.
Yeah.
And I think he knows we're hot for him.
All it's going to take, though, is one open goal miss and we're going to think that he's shit again.
Oh, mate. It's not about the ones you miss.
Yeah.
It's about the ones you put in.
There you go. I think that's a good thrive. I think that's relatively easy thrive, actually.
Mark Yu.
I found this one hard because I think if we do sign another striker, I don't think he's going to play hardly at all. If we don't sign another striker, then absolutely he'll thrive.
I think he'll thrive.
If we sign a Osman level striker, how the hell is Mark Yu going to get any game time?
Then Mark Yu goes out somewhere on loan and, thrives.
Okay,
I think he played for a Premier League club. I think Mark Yu... I think we could send him... No, I was going to say Bournemouth. They've got Solanke. I think we could send Mark Yu to Fulham.
Muniz has been brilliant for them. I don't know if he gets in the team over that. I mean, I hope he doesn't go out on loan. I'm going to say it now. Even if we sign another striker, I hope we keep him.
Yeah, same here. Well, there you go. Thrive or dive. Let us know who you agree with. Let us know who you think we were harsh on. Let us know all your thoughts in the comment section below. As I said at the start of the video, Josh's channel is linked in the description to this video. Make sure you head over there, subscribe to his channel. If you are not already, what are you doing? Make sure you're subscribed to my one. Hit a like on the video and I will see you all in the next one.